You do need to be both Glenda and Elphaba. And
Operating change from within is not the same as being complicit. The previous creator talked about being Elphaba but acting like Glenda to make organizational change. And at first I was like, the whole point of Wicked is that when you're complicit in systems like Glenda is, it eventually backfires on you. I still think that's true. And then I thought of a real life example of who embodies Glenda and Elphaba energy. And that's this queen right here, Carmen Medina, the former deputy director of the CIA. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 things that she did to help change minds. Carmen Medina is the thought leader behind Intellipedia, which is a platform that intelligence agencies use to share information across agencies. It streamlined a lot of communication, saved them timelines, etc., but it took her 10 years to get them to buy in. She actually almost lost her job initially bringing this up. She has a memoir called Rebels at Work, which has been on my Goodreads list for a while. I've read other things by her and seen her TikTok, but I haven't read the full book yet, but it's on the list. She has recalled and shared publicly that there was a specific meeting where she almost lost her job because she lost her cool. I've talked to her a lot about unwritten rules of communication and how for people from working class backgrounds, the indirect communication and kid gloves and hand holding in corporate feels ridiculous because we're used to direct communication. Carmen also talks about being a Latina and how it was not only that direct communication is more accepted in Latin communities, but also how she was perceived as more aggressive because she's a Latina woman. So one of the first things she learned to do was to learn the unwritten rules of communication. She did one of the first things that I encourage my clients to do was she blended communal language with her agentic language. Women are penalized, yes, when they use communal language like we, us, and how it benefits the community because it's part of our stereotype to care. But when we only use communal language, we don't get those raises, we don't get the promotions, we don't get put on the projects. So she blended it in a way that helped her move up in the organization. 2, she also learned framing. In her TED Talk, she talks about how she initially, when she pitched the project, pitched it and that it was about information sharing. And she said in hindsight, she realizes that's not what the CIA is really about. When she learned to frame it differently as a way to save time, as a way to still be secure, as a way to save resources, then things started to shift. Something I struggle with, and I see a lot of people on here struggling with, is not wanting to water down the message, or if you can't take it for the truth, then I don't want to talk to you and I'm not going to try. And unfortunately, that often does not work. You do have to meet people where they are at and then build up from there. 3, she slowly built her way up into connections through the organization, even if it meant doing rotations or jobs within the agency that she wasn't initially interested in, but she knew the relationships would benefit building Intellipedia long term. When she had first proposed Intellipedia, she had just been back from an overseas assignment. Nobody knew her. She was brand new. She was still really junior. She did not have the respect and the relationships to be pitching such a drastically new idea, which honestly, I love her confidence, but she learned she needed to climb up the ladder. 4, she started slowly. She didn't immediately make Intellipedia when she became the deputy director. Instead, she started with making a cross-agency blog first and then built it up from there. Change takes time. Even good change, people are very resistant to. Even very aggressive culture change, because that's my big thing, takes on average at least 2 years, and that is with constant work. 5, and this is interesting, she went around middle managers. Middle managers are not the ones to bring change to. They have very high stakes, high workloads, and not as much decision power as we perceive them to. Research shows they're more resistant to change because they have more to lose. They don't have the status of the big people up top, and they have more responsibility than the entry level. So instead, she talked to the entry level people to get them excited and find out who was willing to share their skills and focus on this. And she talked to the executives that she was now arm to arm with because they were more willing to take risks and they have more control. I would love to hear if y'all know of any other examples of people who do this dance very well. It is exhausting. As I say often, it is labor, but I do love seeing a Latina queen succeed.